Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to today's live stream, where Blender 5.2 is now officially in beta. This means that no new nodes will be added, no new features, it'll just be bug fixing and stabilization. But in terms of geometry nodes, I think I'm assembling all the changes in a blend file, and this is a big update on the geometry node side. Now, there are many amazing updates across the board, like the scene time node and stuff like that being in the shader editor, of course, but there is a lot happening on the geometry node side. So I'm just going to go over a few things. I also want to test the hair and cloth dynamics because I need to get that going for a nice little demo. But there is a lot to go over. So let's start on this. I need to make sure if I missed anything as well. So, well, I guess the main headliner of this update will be the cloth and hair sim. So let's go and make a new collection for this. This file, as we can see, has gotten a little bit hard to manage. Oh, and also, I must apologize if you can hear my mouse clicking. My usual mouse, it was a nice wireless mouse. It just straight up broke one day. Tried replacing the batteries, just straight up didn't work. That's why I like wired mice. They never fail you, usually. I mean, you never need to worry about batteries or connectivity or anything like that because it's a physical wire. But the one downside is I haven't been able to find a wired mouse that isn't super loud. So if you hear clicking, that is why. So let's disable all the other collections and let's just get the cloth thing running in here. So let's go and add in a couple of nice subdivisions. Oh, that's interesting. When you subdivide, it doesn't want to, maybe it's because it's in that mode. So if a menu, I never noticed that before. If a menu is too big, it'll move itself up rather than that. So if you try to do subdivide a few times, it gets interrupted if you're too low. Oh, and also, I've made the UI a little, let me actually go and reset the UI. I'm doing some stuff in the background, which needs a bigger UI. But let's let that sit for now. So let's go and get cloth, or maybe that would be better for live streams if I was always on 1.25 UI scale. Maybe that would be good. So I haven't taken a look at the cloth since the beta. So let's take a look at the internals here. It looks pretty much the same as last time we took a look at it. But I'm assuming some things have changed. Let's go and check that. Yep, that seems to be good. It seems to be doing its job quite well. With the tearing, yep, with the tearing and all that, that's happening. Has anything torn here? Let's go and turn on tearing, but also make it Voronoi and make the threshold very, very low. Because I want to see, yeah, there we go. Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And it just falls away perfectly. Stretchiness and bendiness is okay. I've done some interesting tests with the bendiness, turning that up, changing the stretching scale over time. So all that is, it is very, very cool, and I want to try out more of it when I have time. Yeah, cloth. People will be very excited about that because, again, it's the next version with the other physics systems. Let's go to cloth right over here. We have all these options, which I would assume quite a few of these options will be transferred over as these, as the cloth dynamics come out of experimental, because right now we can see that these are labeled as experimental. Now, I actually don't know what experimental means in this context. I'm assuming that this modifier will go through different changes, but the underlying, like the XBBD solver node, will remain mainly the same, like it won't have any breaking changes in the future, but this node itself will go through some iterations. I have a few ideas when this comes out of some things I want to try adding to it. Pressure is one thing, people keep playing around with a lot of that. Let me check the audio, is that okay? Yeah, that should be okay. Let's go back over to here, get the chat back up. Tearing, sewing, I did a couple of demos with all that. Ooh, why is that? Oh, because I'm running two at the same time, of course. Yes, but I've actually found that this cloth sim is more performant than the old one. Maybe it's because it's doing less, but it's actually, it's good. I quite like it. For the hair dynamics, let's see, let's have this be cloth. Let's see. Collection, this one will be hair. So for the hair, to be honest, I don't know how to actually set this up in its current form. Yeah, I actually don't. So let's give it a go, and then we'll go over all the other changes. I don't want to get too hung up on the experimental side. So let's go to curves. Let's do empty hair. We got that. We got the hair. Oh, it automatically adds in the hair dynamics. Oh. They changed the functionality so that it'll... Oh, that is interesting. Oh, versioning won't be a difficult because of that. Let's see, just animation. Oh my god. Oh, okay, that's actually pretty funny. Okay, this is, I mean funny in a good way, because with this, they are not using the, what was it? The curve surface deformation node. They're now using the actual building block nodes for just the surface deformation, which is cool to see. That is nice. So it's a more generalized approach. Let's see what kind of stuff they're doing under the... Okay, UV tangent. Yeah, so that's good. So, let's see. That is exact. Yep, consistent with tangents. Okay. Oh, that's cool to see. Very cool to see. Alright, so that's the system they're going to be using there. Guess, yeah, transform with the matrices and all that. That makes perfect sense. Not using the rotation, but I assume that could possibly... That's for use in... Yeah, over here. That's why that's there. Okay. That is cool. So that's that. So this can have actual physics. Bundle path not found. For the actual animation, seems as though... Oh, it seems a bit broken at the moment. No curves were actually added to this geometry. Wait, did I... Wait, maybe I did this wrong. I don't want to get too hung up on this, but new features. New features. We're going to be testing them. The devs want you to experiment with these systems and give feedback for either future releases or during the beta. Bug fixing and all that. Check fur. Okay, so I accidentally added an empty fur when I meant to do the other one. Okay. They still have that set up. Yep, that's all good. Oh, they're showing the node parts there, the node options, and then there it's just animation. I'm a little... Okay, yeah, no, all that makes sense. So there we have that, or the other... Oh. There we go. Let's take a look and see how this goes. Oh, well, how about that? It works pretty much right out of the box. Well, that's what people were hoping for, so that's good. There we go. And just to keep in mind, this is lagging because it's working on all the curves, which, if I remember correctly, these can be, I guess, somewhat dense. But these aren't using, like, guide curves or anything like that, so it's doing it on everything. So keep that in mind. Yeah, that's cool to see. A full replacement of the old system. That is very cool to see. Okay. So cloth and hair are both quite easy to work with now. That is very, very cool to see. Okay, let's go back over to here and take a look at the other parts. Lists are a brand new core data type, which is always cool to see. Just arbitrary data that doesn't have to be tied to geometry. So we have several nodes that deal with that. Collection children, filter list, list length, get list item. Also closure. Oh, closure to list. There we go. Evaluate closure. You may be able to hear my mouse. I am so sorry. So we got all of those, and I need to show off different tests with all of that, because there's a lot of cool stuff we can do. Actually, let's go and do that right now. Okay, let's save that. Let's go be right back real quick. File, open recent. Let's see, lists. There we go. So for lists, as we can see here, we have several new nodes, 6 of them, I believe. But here, we can see just a list of... I keep forgetting the viewer node, yeah? Ah, there we go, okay. So here we have a position list, and it just stores all that without having actual geometry attached, which is very nice here. Let me go in the preferences and turn this back on 1.25 to make this a little easier to see. There we go. We have all the positions there, and then we can either filter the list by a specific list input right here, which I'm surprised that doesn't adapt to the list icon when a list is connected. I'm assuming that's because of internal stuff that I forgot about. So we can separate the list. Oh yeah, it's filter list instead of separate list. But that makes sense. There is also separate geometry, all that, but I don't think the name would need to be changed in this case. There's sort list, which sorts it based on a weight. So the ones at the top will have the least amount of weight, the ones at the bottom will have the most amount of weight, which is always cool to see. Closure to list. Now, people don't really understand, from what I've seen, people don't really understand how this works. So you have a closure that always has an index input. For this to work, this needs an index input. And then it can have an arbitrary amount of outputs. So here we just have, well, I'm hesitant to say a for each or repeat zone, but it's kind of almost like that. Where for every iteration we have here, it'll do another mesh circle, and then it'll output a list based on that. So in this case, if we go and plug this into the list length or get list item nodes, we can see here, we can just scroll through here and it's going through a different geometry. This is not changing the current curved circle. We now have 40 curved circles that we are cycling through. So 40 objects that we can sort through, which is amazing. List length, of course, just gives you the length of the list, which is very, very good. Again, we have the collection children node, which can deal with lists as well. And then we have the sample attributes, attribute names node, which also outputs a string list, which is very useful with this combo. We can't sort lists alphabetically because we can't convert strings to their alphabetic weight, I guess you would say. I guess that would have to be another, like, sort string list. Yeah, that would have to be another node. Anyway, that's not too bad. Let's see, what other node? Also, there's the transfer attributes node, which uses attribute names for either a filter, and it also outputs the transferred names. So in theory, this node does very similar stuff to this node, except you can filter by data type and domain, which is very, very nice. But they all use lists, and it is very, very nice. This node does not require lists. I believe by default, it'll just transfer everything, which is always cool to see. Okay, let's go back to the test file, open recent. There we go. So that's lists for strings. There are more string things here. Oh yeah, I should have the changelog up on the side here. But I hope you're all enjoying the this little overview of everything. Oh, bundles. So let's go over to where are the bundles? Oh, this is old. Wait a second. I've been incrementally updating different files with the different new nodes, but this is actually missing some stuff. So get geometry bundle and set geometry bundle. Set geometry bundle. These two, they're right here. Let's put that over to there. And I should sort this by the changelog, just so that's easier. Here we have the bundles, there we have the lists, and then collection, collection is part of that, so yeah, we could just keep that in there. And then we have sound, which is right here, so let's just try to order this a little bit more like the actual changelog. I should label these as well, but that's okay. Put it there, sound, so we got bundles, bundle, lists, or oh, they're all plurals, okay. Sound is not plural, empty objects is not, where we don't need to worry about that. Merging points, where is the merge? So, merge. There we go, let's bring that over to there, let's bring this down. we go. So we got the bundles, we got the lists, collections is an honorary member, we got sound, we got merge, and then we got bevel, which I haven't put that. Man, I missed a lot, even though I probably made this original thing during the alpha. So there we go, the mesh bevel node, which when I posted about it, some people got confused that I made this. I did not make this node. This was by, I believe, Howard Trick. Let me go and actually check that real quick. It was made by Howard Tricky, I believe. I would need to double check that. But we got mesh bevel, which is always cool to see. A very long awaited node. Let me check everything else. We got attributes. Is there, so attributes, curves, and then strings. And then the miscellaneous stuff at the bottom here. So strings, there are more string nodes. I'll need to add those in. Curves, attributes. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Let's see. Yep, there we go. And then the ones that are changed, and then the bundle assets. There are a few here. So principled components and geometry principle components. I still don't fully understand these nodes, but I will test them today. We have all that. Mesh bevel, attributes for attributes. We got, no, why are you in there? You should not be in there. Let's see. That would be in miscellaneous. Yeah, attributes. We have rename attribute, get attribute names, transfer attributes. Did I miss anything? Name attribute, get attribute names, transfer attributes. Nope, that seems to be everything. Honorary member being the capture attribute node, which has been changed. Okay, and then also, should I just put the... I'll just duplicate you and put them over here. Let's just have all the changes in here. So there's the new nodes, and then, of course, the changed nodes. That's a good way of handling it. And then strings, find in string, that one we can go and put in here. It's all good. Whoop. Let's go and move this down. And then you... come on. Here, we'll just put you in miscellaneous. There we go. So, yep, that seems to be pretty good. Actually, we'll put these in back just for nice formatting reasons. Oh, let's go and move that so that's right there. It doesn't matter whatsoever, but I'm just like, let's try to make this a little bit cleaner. 2% cleaner. There we go. So I believe that is most of the changes besides strings, because I haven't updated that. Let's go over to strings. For curves, 2 new NURBS nodes, which if we take a look at the little test example right over here, we can see that when we change the NURBS order, it changes how many points influence a singular point. So I'm assuming if I were to move one of these, it'll affect... Oh wait, because that's not actually applied. Is so fun. So should be... I'll go and apply... Not apply constructive modifiers on curve. That is interesting. It's the same type though. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm assuming this other one will be a NURB, so everything will affect. In theory, let's go and ensure that it is what I think it is. Little confused by that, but I need to research that a bit more. That's all good. But yeah, we can see that when we move different parts that happens, and then the weights, this just determines how much each point will affect everything. So this combo, it'll be very cool. I don't understand NURBS all too much, but I will need to. I'm sure people who deal with NURBS will very much appreciate that. Okay, so let's go back over to the grand list. So string, we have, let's see, string fields are now supported. Oh, right, I need to put that in. I need to go and put that in. Okay, so string fields. Field to list, okay. field to list. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the data block name or instance names nodes in time. I would have been able to if I could just figure out the dependency graph issues, and then they would be able to work with string field to list. But unfortunately, I just couldn't figure it out in time. I almost burnt... Loud car outside. It is unfortunate. I almost burnt myself out trying to get that done. But there's always 5.3. 5.3 will be good as well. Okay, how do we do this? So let's do index, just copying what I'm seeing over there on the side. Format string. So how is this gonna work? How is this going to work? So this will be a test. That I 0 to 3, and then that. Let's see what actually happens, because I don't know what to expect here. The format string node is probably extremely, I know it's extremely powerful. I just don't know how to use it. Spreadsheet. Come on, and we need to refresh this. Oh, okay. So this just constructs a list based on the index, and then all of that happens. Oh, okay. So you can format... Oh, this would have been incredible if I could have just gotten that name dependency done in time. Ah, dang it. That annoys me quite a bit. Let's see. Let's go and do that. Alright, let's read the chat. Oh, people are upset. I'm not reading the chat again. Alright. Let's see. Okay, I thought you made it. Thanks for all the other cool stuff that you contribute. Yeah, my contributions in this update are just the get attribute names node. Technically the collection children node, though Jack and I kind of made similar versions around the same time. Though we did use the PR I made, and Jax did help quite a bit with that. So it's a mix between me and Jack. And were there any other ones, or was it just... Yeah, I'm actually forgetting. What did I do this time around? It's either that, and then the scene time node in the shader editor. I feel like there was an... Was that all? Actually, let me check real quick. What did I actually do in 5.2? Oh, there's... I have a notification. Okay. Let's see. I have 15 closed PRs, which some of them are just because... Let's see. There's the geometry attribute... Well, no, that was from the other one. Okay. Index, nope, that is not that. That was for 5.1. Okay, so the collection children node, instance reference index node, get attribute names, and then the bone info exists output. Bone info. That one goes into the changed as well. So my personal contributions are change up. There we go. Put that in there. So let's see. It's you. I really wish I could have gotten the instance and data block names in there. Fortunately, I just couldn't do it. It is really, really unfortunate when you try something and you just can't do it. But again, I do not know C++ well, and I do not know the dependency graph at all. At all. I was just running in blind and seeing if I could figure it out within the last week of the beta. Let's see. Did you check the new Nexus beta? Can you recommend? That's like the physics thing that's paid, right? I haven't tried it out. At the moment, a proprietary system I don't have too much of an interest in, because when it comes to paid simulation stuff, it's just Houdini for me. That is the way it usually goes. Because in case you forget, Blender is not the only program I use, even though it is the one that I use 90% of the time. Because it's just so good. It's so good. Let's see. Is this beta version of Blender in the website or not? It is available in a daily build. Technically, this is yesterday's build, so there might be a couple of little bugs around. Oh, speaking of bugs, there is a little bug where collections will influence the collection info output. I'm assuming this is either due to... I think, if I had to guess, it's by the geometry nodes being able to be used on collection instances change, if I had to guess. Yeah, the UI feels so cluttered with the 1.25 scale. I'm gonna change that back. Actually, but chat, if you like seeing that, if it's much easier to read at 1.25, please let me know. It just feels a bit cluttered on my end. But yeah, oh yeah, that's another change that I need to go and talk about. So let's see, empties. Let's go and add in an empty object. So a few interesting things. We can do a lot of crazy stuff now because of this. So if I were to go and let's say just drop, oh, nope, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. There we go. If you have, say, a collection instance in here, which I don't know why there's actually an empty in there. There must be an empty, no, there is. Oh no, that's just the empty icon right there. Okay. Geometry nodes can be used on empties and collection instances, both based on the same thing. So if I were to array this and not realize the instance, we can see that we can just apply an array modifier directly to this collection instance, which is absolutely incredible. I do have a feeling that that contributed to that bug with collection info, but not entirely sure. So we have all of that, and then with empties, of course, let's go over to the empty, click new, and we can see when we add in a new why was it so zoom? Oh yeah, no, that actually makes sense. We can see here that with this, if we go and put in a cube, there's no geometry input, of course, only geometry outputs. Regular modifiers are not allowed on these objects, which makes sense. But you can add in the geometry input and everything like that. So that is always very cool to see. And also, if you wanted perhaps to use a set geometry bundle node and plug this into here, even if there's no actual geometry in there, it'll keep showing the empty cross, which when I was testing this, I was like, oh, that is very, very good. Ah, hello, Ashley. How's it going? Lots of stuff to go over. I need a lot more time to go and play around with all this because there is a big project that I'm working on in the background, which you'll all probably see in a month or two, I guess. But there is a lot to go over and a lot of really, really cool stuff. So with this, if you have just set geometry bundle and then this, you can go and store whatever you want into here. So arbitrary data and even closures. So if I were to put in a closure, closure, we go and put this into here, you can store anything you want into an empty now, and then just reference it. Well, actually, I need to double check about the referencing, because I need to check that real quick. So here, if I were to go and bring in our empty, we get the geometry, which means that we get all arbitrary data that we store in here. So if I do this and then have this be just a set position node, so just a quick little test, we go and put that in there. Wait a minute, wait. Oh, it hides the meter thing. Oh, that is lovely. I forget, was it File Descriptor that was working on this? You should possibly be able to copy these between different things. You can, yay. Wait, let me go and double check. You can now copy these without the, oh, expected a number error. That is lovely. Oh, that is fantastic. Oh, so many paper cuts are being eliminated in this version. All right, anyway, if we go and say get geometry bundle, let's see, just like that. Oh, there we go. And then we go and get bundle item. Now, unfortunately, because of the way separate bundle works, it doesn't evaluate what's actually in this bundle. I kind of wish it did, where we can do like a manual, like go over here and press sync, and then it would actually evaluate it as a fallback. I don't think that could be added as a feature at this point, and I do not have the skill to go and implement that, I don't think. But that would be helpful in cases where, because relying on signatures, because they are, I'm assuming, from the little bit that I know when I made the get and set bundle items, it is per node tree, so in this case it would be impossible to get a signature from another piece of geometry. But evaluating it once when you click this, I think that would be a helpful fallback. In my opinion, just spitballing. I don't have the ability to do it, so maybe I'll look into that when I should have a bit of time after I get that project done. Okay, so if we were to go and do this, so let's go and take a look at the bundle in here. So it's just named closure, so let's go and switch this to be closure. Closure. We go and get it by name. That works pretty good. Oh, that's interesting. The viewer can show closure to, oh, cool to see. So let's go and evaluate closure. Plug you into here, which, by the way, this also, that fallback is not available. So here, we actually need the viewer to see. So the viewer, yeah, geometry. Let's go and copy this. Okay. And this one will be geometry. This one will be here. Okay. So with this, that may be a bit of a headache. The viewer can go and see what's going on because it does evaluate it. But unfortunately, automatically going and putting that into here, it isn't possible at the moment. But if we go and do this, we should see that now this geometry is now moved up. So we can now go and manipulate objects based on an original object. So you could have like one master control that has all the settings. And also, you know, this doesn't need to be just this. It could be constant data as well. So if we get like a constant color and all that, or anything we want, we can go and extract it. We got that. Let's go and make this a color. The name will be color. So we can go and get all of that, and we can go and store named attributes and everything. We can get any data that we want, put it on one object and transfer it to another. So now we can have global settings in a sense. Just control this one object and everything else follows suit. Here, if we manipulate that, then this object can also have that as well. Yeah, let's actually go and store that. So let's have this out, or yeah, let's have multiple settings. Let's make a master control. So this would be color. We go into Eevee. Hopefully, Eevee engine shaders have not compiled just yet. Go into the shader editor, new attribute. Let's go and make this color. What did I actually name it? I forgot. That was 3 seconds ago. But yeah, we can now have multiple objects that have that. When we go and edit the master control, everything else follows suit. Which means we can do custom effectors, anything we want. And also, I keep loading this and being like, and also we can do this, this, and this. We can do this with bundles as well, or lists as well. So we can have infinite closures, just put them into there, and then access them in all of these objects. So we can evaluate as many closures as we want. This is a big update, and it will be complicated for new users to parse, but I would say bundles and closures are a very advanced part of Blender. It is not a, these are anything but simple. It can be hard to track these. But yep, we got all that, all kinds of master controls. There we go. Let's also put in a nice little value right there. Let's go and add in a float. We'll put that into there. And that float will be used to, let's go and move this over here. Float. We need to make it so that it will not automatically convert. And pull that from there, and then that will be, oh right, yeah, the let's have this be an offset in there. So the closure will do that. It's so many possibilities. This is like the most functionality we've ever gotten in Blender in geometry nodes. And it'll be very interesting to see what we can do with it, and it will be very, very weird. It almost feels like object or collection nodes. Collection nodes are just a thing in my... Those don't actually exist. That's a thing in my brain where it's like, oh, if geometry nodes were upgraded to the collection level, that's how it would kind of work. You know, with instances and all of that. But there's just so much to do. Infinite control. That's so cool. So cool. Then on the individual objects, we can add in like overrides if we want. It is so cool. Okay, let me read the chat again. Let's see. I've been having a bug where undo doesn't work with the geometry nodes graph. Ooh, yes, report that. Since this is the beta, report all the bugs, every bug you encounter. Because there are definitely bugs. Like with this, collection info, instance, and then pick instance. Now, collections are viewed as instances, which is a breaking change, and I believe that is very much unintentional. And actually, it's either due to the empty change or the collection children thing. Let's see. Thank you very much, Ben, for the donation. Please let this live stay online. I'll watch it tomorrow. For the time being, just take my money. Okay, yeah, this live stream will be kept up for a while. The only reason I wouldn't keep the stream up is because of the very loud mouse clicking, which I'm hoping noise suppression catches. But knowing previous streams, I know it won't. But yes, tons of things. So if I were to remove some collections from here, we can see that changes. I don't believe that's supposed to happen. Like if, and these instances, separate children and all that, yeah, it is. Collections are now treated as instances, which that kind of makes sense because of realized instances, but it's a bit. If separate children is on, then that should ignore that part, right? Am I correct in thinking that? Anyway, it'll be interesting to go and see what that bug is, especially compared to the previous version. Or maybe maybe I just forgot about something. I do not know. Yes, let's see. Also, collection children. If I go and put the master collection in here, we can see that, unfortunately, we cannot see the actual collection names in the spreadsheet, even if I hover over it. And I think that's probably just... Oh yeah, maybe... Would that count as a new feature? If I were to quickly make a little PR to go and show the names in there? I don't know. Because here we can see all of those, but it's just not viewable in there. It's viewable there, but not viewable there. Little bit funky. Yeah, it should be, those names should be viewable. That wouldn't be a new feature, right? Maybe that could be a bug fix, because it's just ... when it definitely should be there. I always try bending the definition of what's a bug and what's a feature when the beta comes around. I really should be testing these updates more before the beta so that I can notice little paper cuts like that and then fix them. Because I think I probably should be able to fix that, right? Just a matter of getting the data block name, which should be very similar to the objects, and then showing the UI icon there. So yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult, I think. But anyway, we can see that when this is set to recursive, which there are no subcollections in there, if we were to add in more subcollections, yeah, we can see that right there. It changes if recursive is on and off. I don't think there are any recursive objects in there. But yep, that's all good. We can go and sort through all of that, which is amazing. If we had the data block name node, we would be able to sort those, but I just couldn't do it this update. I couldn't figure it out. So unfortunate. So unfortunate. But yes. And then let's go back to all of the changes. Take a look in here. So for attributes, those are all the changes to attributes, rename attribute, transfer attributes, and then 4D vectors are available. Though as we can see here, they're only available in name only. We can't actually, well, actually, wait, can we? Vector. Yeah, we can. Okay, so vectors can be changed on the fly here. It can be changed. So we can set them, I think. So if I were to go and do this, let's just go and get an icosphere. Name that A. View path. Where's the geometry? There we go. So A, we can see. Oh. Okay, so 4D vectors, while they're technically there, we cannot use them. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm assuming this is like an under the hood change that will propagate as time goes along. Yeah. Technically they're there internally, but we cannot use them. I don't think. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything else? Okay, curves, we already did that. Strings, I need to update the string part. Looking through. I'll show the changelog at the end here. Because we're coming up to an hour, so find in string got changed. Field to list. So string fields. String fields. And then, let's see, reverse string, trim string, and then string to value. When it's in the integer mode, and value to string. Here, both of these now have a base input, and then padding, I believe, was there from the beginning. This is so that I can change between, like, I actually forget. I think the original reason this was put in was to I forget. I think that it was something to do with hex codes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it makes base code hex codes easier. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know what this does. But I will look into it. Okay, so that's everything there, except I almost forgot one of the biggest ones there. Split string. This node is a big one, because it allows, like, parsing files. Like, I used this to take a transcription file for, you know, captions and stuff like that. Input it, and then separate it by the commas into a list of all the lines. And then you can process those lists individually, get the timecode separately, and all of that. I should show that file again, but I think I may have deleted the transcription. So that wouldn't work all too well, would it? But yes, that is very cool. So if I have, say, A, comma B, comma C, comma D, comma E, comma F, comma G, do that, make the separator a comma, we can now see that we have all those as lists. So we'll be able to just use a get list item node, get list item, and go through all of that. That is a very useful node. I'm so glad that we have it. A lot of things much easier, because when I tried doing the transcription parsing before it was possible with a repeat zone, it was just a pain, a big pain. Yep, that's everything with strings. And then miscellaneous, let's go and check that once again. All the way at the bottom, we have miscellaneous, we have instance reference, which is partly from, well, by my design. It literally just gets the internal attributes, which we cannot set that attribute yet. Though if you use instance on points, it's basically the same thing, so that's fine. Get geometry component, basically separate components. We have all that. We can just separate it by a singular version instead of getting all of them at once. It feels like maybe these two nodes could be merged at some point. But having them separate is also quite nice. So if there was a checkbox for all, no, I'm just spitballing here. Never mind. Okay, get geometry components. That's all good. For node group inputs, if we have an input to here, this can now be default value can be the scene frame, not the scene time, just the scene frame at this point. And then if we get the self object, the object inputs can now have the self object, which is very nice. Data blocks can be compared now, so it's not only floats, vectors, strings, and all that. It can now do individual parts, which this was helpful when I was working on the data block name node, which I could not, unfortunately, I could not complete. Once again, I know I need to say that 5 million times. But now we can compare whether a list as well is, let's see here. Let's go and get that. Where is that collection? So here we can go and compare if any of these, even if it's recursive, is equal to that. So one of them will be true. So we can filter if we want a specific collection. Though if we had data block name node, we can just put in the name and then not have to worry about it. You can have like predetermined stuff. I wish I could have gotten that done. Though, you couldn't. No, you can't do it. Unfortunate. I know I'm kicking myself a lot for getting that done, but I just couldn't do it. Okay, so that's that. Let's go over to the end. And then the last part there is bone info now has an exists output. Several people made PRs for that, but I just made one that worked. Before, if the armature bone was invalid, it would throw an error. If you connect the exists output, it will silence that error, or warning error, I forget which one. So that you can have setups that intentionally check all the bones. If it doesn't exist, it'll just skip if using a repeat zone or something like that. So if you do use like a closure to list, you could get every single bone data and stuff like that. Actually, that would work, wouldn't it? That would work. Yeah, So many options rattling around in my brain. In the future, maybe I'll try adding in an armature, a armature bone names node to kind of match the get attribute names, so that you could get all the bone names and then you can sort through all these. And then this maybe should be list compatible to make it more efficient. And then you can get all the stuff in there. I do not want to make this node list compatible. Lists are a pain to work with under the hood because they use multi-functions and this and that. I don't want to do that, if I'm being honest. Their lists are good. Lists are very good. They are very, very, very good. Just complicated to work with because they're more like fields, and I still don't really understand how to work with fields under the hood. Single values are the best thing to work with. But yeah, we got bundles. Bundles and lists are a huge meta change. And then we could also have lists of bundles, which is... Node setups can get so complicated now. Keeping them simple will be an art form, I would say. Because, yeah. Oh, right, these nodes. I need to go and, these nodes out again. So I have a feeling what this node does. Longest, intermediate, and then shortest axis. I would imagine that this could be used to find, like, the inertia tensor of things. So if I were to say combine a matrix no, transform. We have that, and that. So if I have on this object arbitrary little things here, go and put in the monkey and all that. So many things to go over. So if we get the position vectors of all that and use the mesh island index, this node also has the geometry input and then the positions in there, which we can see. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. I kind of get it. This is... Okay. So this is not instance compatible. Intriguing. So I'll need to figure out how to make this work. I think I can find a way of making this work. Yeah. Okay. So we have all of that, and then we have all this. So yes, that is amazing. So cool. Let me think about this real quick. So this stores it on every single point. So all I need to do is take the mesh island, the island index, delete absolutely everything from the let's go and test this. So if we go and do this, we go and store 4x4 matrix. This will be A. We store this here. We delete everything. Use an accumulate field node. Anything above that, we go and straight up eliminate. Do that, and that. Then we have one point with all of that, which means that in theory, if I go and split two instances, we now have instances with their group IDs, which means I could go and sample. This is a very complicated way of making this work. 4x4 matrix. So if we go and get the index here, that should align with that, meaning that we can go and port through this thing right here. I apologize greatly for how complicated this now is. So if we do that and that, we now have, per instance, that value. Which means if I were to replace the... no. I have cubes as like the bounding box. Duplicate elements, and this will be to instance. Geometry to instance, so we don't even need that part right there. Bear with me, everyone. I will, work, and then we have set instance transform. We go and plug that into there. So we don't need that, we just need you. We can see that it straight up does not work. Okay, why do you not work? We have all that point, Are there any points that actually exist on this? Take a look. No. Okay, so I did this wrong where this is trailing. Ah, there we go. That makes sense. So if anything's like that, there we go. So now we have all that, and now we almost have a cube that shows up as the bounding box. That need to be like that. Do I need to invert said matrix? This will not work. Yeah, I'm getting the wrong data. So it's either that, then that. We combine that into a matrix, and then that works? I don't know. Well, we have the group center and the group rotation. The principal components in my head, that should be the scale, but maybe I need to go and divide that by 1. We go and invert only that part. And now, as we can see, no, that still does not work. Or maybe, no, that makes it even worse. We can see it almost does something, unless I need to, like, transpose the matrix? Transpose the matrix? Nope. Does not work whatsoever. Okay, we can see it almost does something, but it should do something else. So let's go and use a join geometry node to compare the bounding boxes that form with this. There is a way to make this work. I just forget. No, that is not working. If I set to be... Nope, that doesn't work either. If I set it to be 2, that part seems to work. No, not quite. Maybe this is just the raw matrix, and I need to separate these into the components. And then use a combined matrix node. Combined matrix. That one, that one. Hopefully I'm doing these in the right order, because that would be a major... No, I messed it up immediately, because I forgot the first one is the location. This one is the axis I want. This one is the axis... no, I keep screwing this up. This is very manual. I guess I wish there was an option to make these vectors instead, but that would not work because there's the fourth input, which is not used in most scenarios. So let's go and store that, and then we also need to go and separate the location that we get and plug this into here, manually setting all these parts. It is lovely. Always cool to see. And bring that down. So as we can see here, it still does not function the way I thought it would. Group center. Oh, even the group center is broken now. Yeah. It's not good. Or do I have this wrong? This should be the location, should it not? Oh, no. I got that wrong, too. Whoops. So I got everything. Wait, why am I doing that when I could just go yoink this and then do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Almost works. Almost. So maybe that's the case where it needs to be a 1 divide. That it looks like that's what's supposed to happen. Or no, that just shows the axes, not the actual... I don't understand this, but I will. Okay, oh, we have 46 people here. Hello. Sorry for dropping you in on something that I just straight up don't understand. I will figure it out. I will figure it out eventually. So matrix, plug that into there. And also for the people who joined in later, I'm so sorry about all the mouse clicks. Oh wait, no, this just needs to be a cube. A cube, there we go, we have that. So if I do this correctly, which I don't think I did, let's go and divide. There should be a cube that a non-axis aligned bounding box. If I do that, and then I do that, that does not function. Let's go and do that. Like it almost functions, but I still do not entirely see. Okay, I'll need to figure that out. Anyway, let's go and delete all of that. That was just a little experiment. Okay. So yep, these are, let's see. What are you doing today? I am looking at all the changes in Blender 5.2. Blender 5.2 is now in beta. So all the features are now frozen. They're in. They won't be changed all too much beyond bug fixes. And July 15th, I believe, is when Blender 5.2 comes out. Which means that, yeah, lots of cool stuff will be happening. But these are all the changes to geometry nodes. There is a lot. I feel sorry for the person who has to do the changelog video. Yeah, lots of things to go over. These ones I still don't understand. It feels like these were made for the compositor, but they also got added to geometry nodes. So, yeah, I don't fully... It's like screen to 3D space, but this... Oh, wait, no, these... Yeah, no, these are also very useful for that. Maybe another default input in the future could be the active camera. Active camera. So this will take screen space to 3D space. So if I were to go and place a cube And transform geometry. Place this, and this is just a vector. Or wait. We do this. This should place it to where the camera is, in theory. But it places it really, really far away. Depth is 0.5. Is that, Okay, don't understand that one. And then 3D to screen space, that should be in the opposite direction. Then you can clamp the depth. Or, no, this does something else that I don't understand. So, transform and project project with depth. I assume that that would do what I thought it was going to do. But yeah, I need to research those a bit more. Yep. Another underrated feature is that strings can now be an arbitrary size here. So now whenever people make notes or documentation about node groups, you can just use the inbuilt string, which is amazing. And then you can actually use that for whatever you want. You can paste an entire book, or I have not tested this, I don't know what the actual size limit for strings in Blender is. You can paste a lot of stuff into there and then just use it wherever you want, which is always cool to see. How big can we make this? How big can we make it? Very, very big. Very, very, very big. Limited only by the node width limit. And oh, it just keeps going. It just really, really keeps going. Okay, there is apparently no limit to this, so I guess you could. I guess you could paste an entire thing into there. Wait, give me 1 second. Let's see. One second, everyone. Don't be concerned about this little delay. I'm just getting some stuff, and then I'll be pasting it into this, this text box. It was one of two options, but I'm going to pick the option that is longer for the joke. Okay, let's copy you over to here. All right. So yes, you can literally paste the entire B movie script into this node, and it will work. Yep, apparently you can do that. Even, okay, and the scroll wheel does work. I'm just clicking on the wrong part every single time. I had no idea you could do that, but apparently you can if you're crazy enough. All right. Actually, no, there's no way this is the actual entire B movie script. I must have got, oh, dang. And also, okay, the hitbox might be a little bit off. Or that one, it's, again, so absolutely massive. Let's see. No, I think that's the actual script. Okay. Very funny side note right there. That hitbox is a little bit small when you're zoomed out so far. Oh wait, and... Wait, okay. No, I'm just misclicking. Okay, there's all that. And I believe that is everything. Still need to think about the curve setup right here, which maybe this should be listed as a change when you add in a new curve or for object. It'll now add in the hair dynamics node group. You'll also have the physics option. So that is a little interesting how that gets cut off. But yep, that is that. Any questions at the end of this? Oh, right, I need to go and actually show you the changelog, which I should have done originally. Should have had that first and then show you the actual things. Okay, Need to get the actual changelog. Go. You make sure I show that window. Go. So browser. There we go. Okay. So again, this is the changelog. Instead of showing off everything, let's go and make this a bit smaller so that we can see more. Actually, no, I think that's good. So physics, geometry bundles, as we saw, lists, a lot of stuff with lists to go on. Collections, we saw that, and we can see that you can use a repeat zone to go and evaluate multiple things at the same time, which is always cool to see. This can also be done with closures. If you get objects, you can get all the object geometries, which can contain closures, so you can have infinite amount of objects with closures, and it will evaluate them all. Will the new cloud system have self-collision? No. It is still experimental. I assume, and right now the collisions don't even have restitution or bouncing, just because it's still early days, but they wanted to get it out so that people can actually try it, give feedback, so that they can make it better down the line. So it's still good. Don't get me wrong, it's still nice. I really like it. You've seen some of the projects that I've made with it. But yeah, they want feedback. So if you have feedback, give it to. I actually don't know where to put the feedback. I'll get back to you on that. Merging points, we saw that. Mesh bevel. Oh, I forgot to go over the mesh bevel part, because while it's a building block node, though it does not contain all of the features that, or all of the conveniences that the bevel modifier has, all the functionality and more is in it. So mesh bevel, attributes, curve, strings, node group assets, then that. Oh yeah, and that is the scene frame and all that, bundled assets, and then all the miscellaneous stuff. But yes, let's go and look through all of this, just to, or not everything, I just want to go and see a few things. So texture caches, that's a big thing with that. With cycles, that's like the headliner for that. Open shading language. Ah, okay, it's also used for that. Right, raycast attributes is a big one, we saw that last time. Let's see. Negative anisotropy. Oh, that's interesting. Other features, add cast shadows options to world. Okay, reduce geometry memory usage. Sharing some memory with Blender. Okay. Oh, sharing geometry. Oh yeah, right, because Cycles is an add-on. Eevee and viewports. Green space ray tracing overhaul. Yeah, Eevee, I think may be my favorite. Oh, it feels bad saying that because I'm such a geometry nodes head. But with Eevee Next had quite a few critical bugs, as they say here. And yeah, it needed some major cleanup to address long-standing usability issues. Eevee Next was a bit of a rough patch in my workflow, and now they fixed pretty much everything with it in this update. Where, let's see, where was it? Not that one. Lower banding artifacts, yeah, this is the biggest one. Maybe I should go, do we go longer this stream? I don't know. Dang, that is taking its sweet time when loading. That is really taking its time when loading. Wow. Lovely. But before, we should see here, well, actually no, there's no shot you're able to see that. On stream. Yeah, no, there's no shot. But, actually, I can go and show this off. Give me one moment to get Blender back up. Actually, no, I can't show it because this is in 5.2 where it won't be visible. Never mind. But basically, when you would have an object with maximum roughness, let's see, let's go and check this over here. When you would have a material with maximum roughness, and if it was rather dark or there was a, whenever there would be a range of values, there sometimes would not be enough colors to show it, so there would be very obvious banding to the point where some renders of mine were not usable. Eevee Next was just not usable due to that banding. But now, thanks to I cannot pronounce that name, I apologize. Thanks to them, it is now fixed, which is very nice. Let's see. And then, you know, the general fixes to green space reprojections, which I imagine these images will... Oh, no, those loaded pretty much instantly. We can see previously there were some cases where there was horrendous artifacts, and now those are fixed. Seeing where before... I forget if that's temporal accumulation. That was viewport side. Yeah, there would be some weird smearing. That's been fixed. Without, if you wanted to not use denoise, because sometimes it can blur things a bit. Before it was just unusable, because there would be no bilinear interpolation. That has been fixed. So, in quite a few cases, like in this case, okay, thank you, Firefox. When you would have a resolution less than 1, there would be artifacts. So many artifacts that would be, for quite a few workflows, just completely breaking for people to render using Eevee. They've now been fixed. And then, let's see. I forget if you can see that example or that example, but and it also should be less noisy in the reflections here. You might not be able to see it. But there, it's, yeah, the noise is just a bit more refined, a bit better. So yeah, Eevee Next has been fixed up quite a bit. And here we can see some changes. I actually don't know. I'm assuming this one is the fixed one, whichever one looks better. And we can see it is in French. Yep. Yeah, this one's definitely the fixed up one. Fixing a few errors, and again, this is all with one sample, so it's going to be noisy. And then the biggest one, where is... yeah, the past GI fixes. So this one is a big one. Okay, yep, take your time loading the images. Yes. So and click on that, and then click on that. It'll take a while. Apparently, because apparently this is, maybe it's because I'm streaming. You can see that there is actually, I need to actually check which one is first and which one is second. Oh no, both of these are, yeah. That's the wrong fast GI fix. But, yeah, that doesn't show a before and after. And bring that one out of there. Night camera visibility, there should be, and then instancing performance has gotten a lot better. Though it is still CPU bottlenecked, but they can be twice as fast, which is nice. Ray visibility toggle, and then other stuff. Ambient occlusion, and I'm not sure where I can find that part. It's probably that, nope, that's the same one there. Is it this one? Let's wait for that to load up. Maybe the Blender website is having a few slowdowns today. This is it. Okay. So apparently, and I didn't even realize this, ambient occlusion was pretty broken in previous versions of Eevee. As we can see here, this looks very, very, very broken. Well, in the next version, it is a lot better. Before, especially over there, yeah, huge difference. Apparently, Eevee Next in Blender 5. From Blender 4.2 to 5.1 was had quite a few issues with it, which many people voiced, including myself. But yeah, and then lots of ambient occlusion fixes. And then here we can see just with this. Yeah, that's before, that's after, I believe. Before and after. Before, after. I need to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yeah, yep, okay, yep. We can just see before, not quite as good. Here, a lot more accurate, particularly underneath there and no more super dark spots where there shouldn't be. But yep, that is quite good. Let's see. Where is video sequencer? I want to see what's going on in there. So, yep, this one, the video sequence editor, we can do custom, custom transitions, which I wonder if I'll be using that in the future, in the near future. I'll need to test it out. Thumbnails are now shown at the start/end of a strip now. That's just to reduce visual noise. Text strips now have presets, scene strips, and all that. Oh, wait. Now have a view layer selector, initially set to the default view layer. Oh, that's very nice. Oh, that will be very useful. Whenever there are no other scenes other than edit in the file, it shows no other scenes. Yep. And strip modifiers. Okay, duplicate. Yep, that's good. There should be now inputs as well. Miscellaneous, performance, Python API and compatibility. Fully transparent. Okay. That might be a breaking change. Not too sure. Virtual reality. Oh yeah, remember VR? Remember VR. Okay, a few little fixes for that. Pipeline and input-output. This is something I'm a big fan of. So USD got... Oh, wait, USD's got a few changes. Okay, that's new. Unanimated objects, supported camera data as F-curves, original divisions. Okay, and that as well. Okay. So for those of you wondering, with Alembics, they still don't support arbitrary attributes, though USDs do. So keep that in mind. So if you're in a production and you're like, oh dang, I need to get all the attributes from whatever, then just use USDs. Because again, USDs can store internally have... Wait, I need to be correct about this. You can extract an Alembic from a USD, so it's... Yeah, just use USDs when you can. They are the industry standard, while Alembics are still useful if you just need... In some scenarios, but USDs are the industry standard. If you need animated mesh caches and all that. Animated mesh sequences. We're past an hour. My voice and brain are getting tired. Point cloud export, yep. Oh, that's actually really cool. Point cloud exports, okay. No traversal, all that. Point cloud imports, of course. Always cool to see. And then images, movies, stereoscopic metadata is exported, and then STLs have that. Nothing for FBXs, which is reasonable because FBXs have that security issue with them. Okay, Python API, some stuff changing. Oh yeah, Geometry Nodes now has some Python API stuff going on. The modifier now has RNA properties regarding that, and that. Okay. Rendering. You can now disable the render output. That's useful when exporting AXRs. Light and shadow leaking can be copied to the selection. Color management. Shader nodes. Oh, look at this. They call it the time node rather than scene time. That's interesting. The scene time node was added to the shader editor. So again, you never need to use #frame ever again in your life, which is better than using a driver. Just use the scene time node. You can copy directly from geometry nodes to the shader editor, and it is all fantastic. And then a new thin wall mode, which is useful for plastic, tree leaves, and stuff like that. I saw someone did it with like a receipt. But that is very, very, very good. Sculpt, paint, and texture. There's a new project brush, color filter, dynamic topology, and voxel remesher now interpolates. Oh, vertex color and corner attributes. All right, that's good. That'll be. I need to get back into sculpting. I always enjoyed doing sculpting because it's it's more like doing 2D art, and you don't need to worry about tons of math and stuff. You can just go and sculpt. Vertex paint now of that. Autosave has been, yep, that's all good. I think that's everything that's super duper relevant. Draw tool got some changes, some new brush assets. Updated thumbnails. Okay, that's good. And then we got all of that. The fill tool, let's see. New fill algorithm was added. The new Delanue solver creates exact geometry from the boundary strokes. Okay, that's good. I'll need to look into that. And then new options for all these, which this one is quite cool. I tried using grease pencil to render Gaussian splats, and I think in theory it could be possible in the future, but with the way it renders, it caused a ton of weird negative values to show up. So not quite possible yet, but it was very fast at rendering because it did kind of everything at once. You get the sorting for free. So I know they're working, or they're thinking about adding in Gaussian splat rendering to Blender, but yeah, it's just the sorting that's the issue, camera facing splats and everything like that. Modeling and UV. Let's see. A circle from loop tool. Loop tool's getting implemented. That's nice. Text got fixed when it comes to I forget what these are called. I should know what those are called, but I forgot. Let's see. Combining characters. Yep, that is good. Selection now works with backcalled faces through backcalled faces. That's good. Limit seam, sharpen all that, mirror UV coordinates, winding, select by winding, that one will be very useful. Add island support to select overlap, and then bounding box to unwrapping option. That is good. Improve rotation alignment in the array modifier. Oh? Wait a minute, I gotta look at that. Pull request. Is there a UV option for that? I'll need to look into that. Okay, motion tracking. Move to layer, that and that. Okay, and then physics, there's the everything to do with the cloth dynamics and hair, which will be very, very cool to see. I really need to look into this more if I had the time. But yep, we can see that. That's all good. But yeah, there should probably be more documentation on the changes to the pre-existing hair changes, like when you add in new hair, because I did not know about that. So maybe that's also included in here. Built-in gravity. Forces and all that. I will need to show off that as well. Some effectors and all of that. XBB, yes, the XBBD solver, which, oh, this is also labeled as experimental. Okay. Are there any specific disadvantages? Oh, sorry, I butchered that. Are there any specific disadvantages when you use hashtag frame instead of scene time? Mainly speed. Because hashtag frame uses a driver and that causes dependencies and stuff like that, while using scene time just gets the stuff that's already there. And it's good. Cycles, 40 changed files happened, or 42, I forget. Changed files happened in order to make the scene time node a reality. Most of those were because cycles was weird when it came to the data. It was annoying, but worth it in the end. So use the scene time node. Do not use hashtag frame anymore. You could, again, you could have used frame underscore current and then the render.fps with the view layer attributes, but scene time is just the way you're supposed to do it. It's just the way it's supposed to happen. It's there, it exists. Please use it. Yep. That is good. Okay, I believe that is basically everything in 5.2. Let's go and switch to the main Blender scene again. So there's tons of stuff that is in this update, so much to go over. I'm sure the Blender YouTubers, not including myself because I don't really see myself as a Blender YouTuber. I don't make YouTube videos, I just stream every once in a while, going over little experiments that I'm doing. But they will have a lot of content this update, a lot of content. But yes, also merge points and then cluster by distance and all of this. This is a highlight of this update as well, because it just fixes a lot of weird quirks. Merge points, like now you can basically make the solidify modifier now with filling in the original face without needing to use merge by distance, because that could lead to errors. And if you just merge the points, then you don't need to worry about like having to use a search algorithm with this and then combining it. You can't just go and merge by the same ID. I tried it out, it worked. Maybe in future updates there'll be an actual solidify node group asset and bevel node group asset in the future. I should probably look into that. Because again, with mesh bevel, with this, as we can see, it is a little bit, you know, you have all four of the, I need to showcase this. So cube, if we have a cube and then do this, we can offset each individual edge corner individually, which is quite useful for, I don't actually know. If you want, maybe it's like for clamping, like if different edges have different clamping values, but that clamping, smooth shading and all that are not enabled by default. So, and this was put in on the very last day of the alpha. So I have a feeling that if they had more time, this would be bundled into a node group asset, where it would have all the bells and whistles, like actually smoothing, based on whether or not it's like a vertex, and you know what I mean. Because to do that now, if you set shade smooth, to get this working, it requires a good amount of work just to get it operational. And as far as I know, again, clamping it is not supported. If you do null that again, set that to be 0.1. If we were to do this, yeah, it just does that. So there's another layer that needs to be done to make this convenient as the bevel modifier, but we have it. We have the functionality and it is very, very good. We can put in custom profiles, which I assume is a curve. So if I were to go and put in a curve, let's make this a star, just to really, you know, stress test it off rip. Off base, so there we go. And we can see the shape doesn't do anything when it's overridden by the profile, but you can straight up make this whatever you want. And if I'm correct, you couldn't really make this happen with the old modifier, or with the profile input. If I'm correct, you couldn't, because that's a straight up star right there. Here, let's go and get just one. Oh wait, I can't do that because this isn't in edit mode. Let's go and get the actual group. Oh, let's save this, by the way. Group inputs. There we go, put this into there. Uh-oh. Why is it lagging? Why is it crashing? Was the original geometry just really heavy? Alright, and this selection is, by default, it'll bevel everything, and you'll need to actually select by the edge angle. Let's close the program and reopen it because it straight up crashed. So while we have the bevel node, since it was added on the last day, there is, the convenience features are not really in there. That'll probably be a node group asset that wraps around it. So let's go back to here. What's actually in this? So we have, right. I put this in, yeah, a very heavily, thing there. Let's go window. Yeah, let's go and just move this. So copy, let's add in a new cube. New cube, add in you, put you in there, put you in there, take that, and remove you from this. Re-enable the modifier. Here, let's go and bring you over to here, bring you down, go select these two, Control I, delete faces. So here we can see, yeah, we couldn't do that functionality before either. You can straight up make a full circle inside of there. If this were a spiral, what if this was, I believe the third dimension gets completely wiped out. Yeah, that makes sense. But before, you just straight up couldn't do that. You could not make it so that, it would just spin around like that. It would have to be... I'm getting distracted by something. It would have to be, just a regular profile, but now it can be straight up a 3D shape. I wonder how that changes as it rotates. Yeah. And that also makes me think. Yeah, even. This is Shift Y, right? There's that. And then again, with this part here and here, we can see that these are also getting beveled. But since there is no like actual edge to it, it's just flat. So again, for the convenience parts, you would need to go and use this, use a greater than, and then you would need an input that is in degrees, while with this case, it's in radians. So since that's 90 degrees, that would be pi divided by 2. So there, if anything's greater than 90 degrees, it will go and do the thing, as we can see there. So the mesh bevel nodes in here, it's just not the most convenient. And then also for all these, you would need to have an input doing all of that. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with it. Then of course there's this part, which is for the edge here. Let's go and disable that part. So here we have this, and then it's like that and that, that and that, that and that. Always cool to see. And then of course you have the vertices mode. So this is a building block node. Very much like the bevel modifier, but with some optimizations, and it uses mesh instead of B-mesh. I don't really know what that means, but that's just what I saw in the development notes. So have fun with this, go and test it, and we get extra functionality because we can do whatever we want with this. Here we go. We have that and extrude mesh, just to point out the merge points setup. So if you have, say, a plane, just go and Shift D. The thing with the extrude modifier usually is that let's go and get this, put it over there, is that it doesn't fill in the underside, which people were like, oh wait, why doesn't it do that? And they were finding many ways of going and adding it. The way I believe the devs recommended, I saw this in one of the it was either in a PR or in a dev chat, it's to make a separate flow of geometry, join geometry, and merge this into here. But this is, as you would assume, less than ideal because they're not connected, like with the modifier. People would merge by distance to make that work, but that is not the best workaround, because if you have two mesh islands that are in the same location, but you don't want them to be merged, they would be merged after the fact. So all in all, this is a workaround, or was a workaround that was incomplete. But if you use capture attribute now and you use the index, wait, why did it do index? I accidentally typed in points instead of index. My index, not integer. I want the index. Sorry everyone, my brain is running out of juice. So there we go. So if you do that, this will, and if you make it so that it does not work on the top, here we go. If you do that, then you should have an actual solidify happening here where it's actually merged, where if you use like a set position and use a random, it will now actually offset without, absolutely screwing everything up. Because again, if you did not do this before, you would have stuff like that, which isn't great. There are still issues with like smoothing, where if it was smooth originally, the edges wouldn't really be smooth, or actually, wait, I forget what the issue is with smoothing. But yeah, there's still a few little issues, but that's what's going on. So yep, that's that. That is a new workaround for making a solidify-esque modifier. But the ideal scenario would be having a node group asset to do all of that, and then mesh bevel, making an actual bevel asset that has all the conveniences that the bevel modifier has, in case the bevel modifier is replaced in the future, which I assume it will be because this is using mesh instead of vmesh, and if we can get more functionality and everything like that, it will be very, very, very cool. Yes, new options, new possibilities. Actually, wait, I should keep the mesh bevel demo available. Let's switch this back to edges. Do that, get the edge angle. If it's greater than 0.1, just to ignore that. Also, was it? No, it was possible to do some things with the vertex mode. But yes, let's set that to be 10 instead of 50, because that is way too high. Yep, so many things to do. Is this a field value? So we can make this random as well, I think. Oh, random per edge. Oh, I don't think we could do that before. That will be interesting. That will be very interesting. I didn't think that would be per edge. How about that? That's going to be, yeah, we get so much extra control at the cost of, well, just not having the convenient way just yet. But it will come in time. Will come in time. Now, oh, okay. Very, very interesting. Shade smooth. Let's put this back to ore. Let's see. Or maybe we set the shading to flat on the outer edge. That work? Almost does, but not really. Not quite. I'll need to look into how to actually make that work. Because there's the hardened normals mode. That, it's like it almost works, but it doesn't really. Yeah, I really need to look into that. Then the mid edge. That, but if I turn that onto that and shades flat. And smooth. No, I need to shade it flat. That or that. So yeah, I need to look into it. Shade smooth, and then I'll keep that one there. So maybe that's how you get hardened normals, and maybe just because I'm using this, it kind of freaks it out a little bit. Maybe that's how it's supposed to work. Need to look into that. But yeah, that'll be very cool, because again, with this midder or miter mode, you can have the arcs here and then a sharp edge there. Lots of possibilities. Is this edge based or face corner based? It is... I do not know. Is this on the edge domain? It does not specify. Okay. Oh, corner. It does say corner. Okay. So yeah, that'll be cool. Interesting. Tons of new features with this that I'll need to take a look at. Very, very, very cool. Then I could set the... I use the vertex crease. Crease vert. I put that in there, and then connect it to all these, so that it'll do the automatic conversion. Yeah, we can see here. I can change the or does it? Oh no, that wouldn't work because it's interpolating over the entire thing. So the offsets. Wait a minute. Doesn't that mean these offsets should be on the face corner domain? Or no, that doesn't make sense because there could be more. I actually don't know. each edge would have to look at its face corners in order to make that work, and there may be more. Yeah, no, okay, no, this makes sense. Yep. I'll need to figure out everything about this. It will take time, but I will figure it out. Alright, we are at 1 hour and 39 minutes. Again, way too much time. I need to shorten these, compressing the time. But yes, once again, here is pretty much everything new with geometry nodes in Blender 5.2. A massive update. Yeah. So much stuff, I don't even know what these things do. Or I know kind of what these ones do, but I don't know all of them. Oh, also, sample sound frequencies. I think I might have forgotten to go over that. That is a very, that's a big one. It allows us to do the spectrogram thingies, which if we take a look over here, there we go, nice spectrum animations going around right there. Is good. If I ungroup this for better... no, that would... I need to ungroup that in order to make that easier for people to see. Yep. Lots of stuff that can be done. Alright, any last questions? Is there a way to create even thickness with the extrude node? I would assume yes, because this is done. Let me go and check it. So we have the edge angle, which is signed or unsigned. So I assume that if I just put a reroute and put this there, 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 and there, and then see, how do we make this work? Right now it's in radians. So if I were, what if it's like divide? So let's just see what happens. So, oh, extrude with the thickness, not with, yeah. Okay. I think there has been a way of doing that. So if I were to use the extrude mesh node right here, the offset, I know people have done it before, even with curves. It would be something like that. Yeah, I think, wait, does that just work? I would be very surprised. I would be very, very surprised if it does. But would it have to be like, it seems to be averaged there, so maybe like dot producting the normal with the face normal and getting the difference between all of that. The vertex normal and the face normal, I'm honestly not too sure. We can see here, yeah, and then it would have to be clamped. If a solidify modifier comes around with geometry nodes, again, geometry nodes has a lot of building blocks, but we're just getting to the convenience assets like the array modifier. So it's with that it goes up really high and then that happens. So it shouldn't be like that. We do this and then there's zero angle, it does that, and then it does that. Maybe it would be more like this, where we have our angle. No, that wouldn't do it either. I forget how it's done, but it should be either like a, let's see. We get the normal. Then we get the true normal, and then the evaluate on domain, and then dot product between the two. Make sure that this one is evaluated on the face corner domain, and then it can interpolate back to evaluate on domain. This is face corner. We go over there and then plug that into there. We can see that it doesn't work because I'm probably doing this very, very wrong. Oops, wrong one there. And we can see something is happening, but and then that happens. Like, this should extend very far in the end. Maybe it needs to be like a power of 2 or something. You can see that. Like here, when the angle becomes more, this should be divided by a certain amount. Here, if the value... I know. That makes it so that's divide by 0, so it should be like +1. It should be like that, and then nope, that doesn't work either. Unfortunately, I forget. Because if the angle is 0, that's 0, and then that's 1. But that doesn't even have a corner. I'll need to look into that. Okay, we're at 1 hour and 45 minutes. I need to call this now. But thank you for watching. Go and experiment with all the... Not hundreds. How many changes are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... 9. That one is... this needs to be closure to list. Right. There we go. Closure to list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20, or no. 25. 25 new nodes in this update. 25 new nodes, not including the node group assets. It is a big update. Geometry nodes, it has a lot. It really has a lot. Wow. I wonder how many nodes there are in total, because it must be getting in the, like, over 200 at this point. Which a lot of these are building block nodes. It's a lot. Wow. Each one, yeah, if each one has 10 or so in these things. Yeah, we must be in like the 200 range at this point. Yep. I wonder how long it will be before we can deform instances with geonodes. Well, that betrays the purpose of instances. Because with instances, they're just referencing another piece of geometry. Now in the shader editor, at least in Eevee, you can displace instances individually. But as long as it's on like the CPU, you can't deform instances. You can deform the original geometry set, which you can already do in geometry nodes. I've done that a bajillion times. But if instances are sharing the same geometry set, like if I copy this monkey 15 times and it's all sharing the same monkey instance, you can't deform all of them individually because that betrays what instances actually are. If you had 15 different instances of monkeys sharing 15 different geometry sets, or not sharing geometry sets, let me get my thoughts in order, you would be able to deform them. So yeah, instancing has a purpose. Its purpose is to copy objects and use them in many different places in the shader editor, because when you render or do something like that, it takes the instances and turns them into individual geometry. You can displace them individually. I have used geometry nodes to store data per instance, and then use that to deform them in the shader editor, using mesh deformation and all that. So that is a method. Like games do that, where it's like, oh, you have tons of grass everywhere in the world. You can have one grass asset put together a bajillion times in the world, and then modify each of those separately. Wouldn't be possible with multi-stage compositing. You wouldn't even need multi-stage compositing for that. How does the text input in the modifier look like now? Is it just one line? Yeah. In here, it is still just one line. Well, it would be nice to have multiple lines. It's just not implemented yet. Or I'm not sure if it will be either. Because having just one line is good, but for documentation, it would be nice to have multiple. But then in that case, I'm not sure if you could put that in here, because this is probably using... Nodes can have a width and a height. You can use Python to expose those quote-unquote attributes, those settings. And also, oh, I got feedback on the node location. The devs decided that it would not be a good idea to have the node location shown here, but to maybe add in an operator to edit the node location. So you would be able to press like Alt-G to reset the node to 0, 0, but you would not actually be able to see if the node is actually at 0, 0. To be honest, I don't understand that decision. In my geometry node brain, if we have 200 geometry nodes for changing different settings, it would be nice to actually see what settings are available on the actual node to see where it is and all that, because nodes, as we can see with like the array modifier, these nodes get very, very big. It would be good to see the locations and all that. So this node, if I had to guess, this is like at 1000 out compared to everything else. But the decision has been made to not do that. If you want to reset it, then maybe in a future version, you'll be able to press Alt-G and it'll center it. And you can also have an add-on that exposes it here, because the data is already there, it's just hidden, which is, in my opinion, unfortunate, but intentional at this point. And that is that. Is there anything else I forgot? I don't believe so. So many amazing updates. That and that, those are changed. That one is there. Reference index. Split string, big fan of that one. Then tons of lists. Ooh, yeah, these two right here will change the entire geometry nodes game when it comes to like particle systems and stuff like that. Alright, let's read the chat one more time. Is there a simple workflow? Say you had 4 objects in a collection and you want to get all the objects but have the option to hide each individual one. Hide each individual one. I would say just by index. If you know the index, then you would be able to hide them. If I made the data block name node, then you would be able to hide them based on, oh dang, that brings up another thing. I had this idea in my brain to make a little add-on because I couldn't implement this into the source code if I wanted to. Since we have lists, and also the string to list node, make it so that you can go and select using a button, and then it would go and set like the indices as a list, as a string, and then you would use the split string node to get those indices, and then select them based on that. Basically, Houdini-esque functionality, which, using an add-on, it should be fully possible to go click a button, get a selection box, do that, get the selection, have it as a string, and then parse that and have that as a selection. That should be fully possible. So Houdini-esque workflows should be possible with just a little bit of Python. But if I had the data block name node, I would also be able to select objects. So I have a selection, I just go and select objects, and then that would be good. Many possibilities, but I need to look into that. But yeah, let's not get too off track. What we currently have is absolutely amazing. 25 new nodes allow for so much, from sound to particle system management and beveling. People will be big fans of beveling. Alright, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.